Imagine a Russian trench in the dead of night. The rattling of iron tracks echoes through the fog. A Russian soldier empties his magazine into a silhouette charging through the mud, but the enemy doesn't flinch. No blood, no screams, only the cold mechanical hum of a thermal camera locking onto its target. This was the scene at Lyman where Russian troops did the unthinkable. They laid down their arms and surrendered to a machine. You are witnessing total kinetic erasure, according to leaked Frontline SITREPs. Ukraine has officially initiated Operation Steel Storm, a robotic blitzkrieg that has left the Kremlin's meat grinder strategy in a state of tactical extinction. For the first time in human history, a fortified position has been captured with 0 human soldiers on the ground. But here's the moment everything starts to break. How did Ukraine slip past Russia's multi-million-dollar electronic warfare shield? A system built to jam, blind, and shut down anything in its path. The answer isn't bigger firepower, it's something far more dangerous. A fiber optic link that can't be jammed, can't be intercepted, and doesn't show up the way Russia expects. And that changes the fight instantly. When Volodymyr Zelensky addressed this shift, it wasn't just an update, it was a warning. Because what comes next is not an upgrade in tactics. It's a rewrite of the battlefield itself. Positions that once cost dozens of lives can now be taken without exposing a single soldier. That's not just efficiency, that's a complete shift in how ground operations are executed. And this is where the pressure spikes. Ukraine is not testing this on a small scale. Plans are already moving toward deploying tens of thousands of robotic systems directly into contested zones. Not prototypes, not limited trials. Full-scale operational units designed to move, strike, and hold under fire. If this rollout accelerates, Russia isn't just facing a new weapon. It's facing a system it cannot easily disrupt, because the rules it relied on to control the battlefield no longer apply. And once that shift takes hold, the question is no longer how to stop it, but how fast it spreads. The operation unfolded with terrifying precision on the intense Eastern Front. It started with a devastating aerial barrage. Swarms of FPV drones and kamikaze drones screamed across the sky, supported by high-resolution surveillance UAVs that fed real-time targeting data. Russian bunkers, trenches, and firing positions were hammered with flawless accuracy. Autonomous drones locked onto targets even under heavy Russian electronic warfare, pinning down the defenders and refusing to let them raise their heads. The sky above the Russian positions became a deadly kill zone where no soldier could survive for long. Then came the ground phase that shattered Russian morale completely. Ukrainian armed and armored ground robots rolled straight into the open death zone that has claimed so many lives in this war. These steel warriors advanced relentlessly under fire, equipped with machine guns, grenade launchers, and devastating payloads. One robot pushed deep into the most dangerous sector and completed its mission exactly as planned. Faced with drones circling overhead like predators and heavily armed robots marching forward without fear or fatigue, the Russian soldiers broke psychologically. Their only option was to lay down their weapons and surrender directly to the machines. The position was fully captured and secured. Not one Ukrainian soldier was injured or even placed at risk. This stunning success was made possible by months of intense development and relentless frontline testing. Over 280 Ukrainian companies are now building ground robotic systems, and the plan is to deploy more than 25,000 of these machines by the middle of 2026. This is Putin's worst nightmare coming true, because Russia has no real answer to this new form of warfare. The Kremlin thought they were safe behind the Pol-21 and Shipovnik Arrow, some of the world's most powerful electronic warfare umbrellas designed to turn drones into falling bricks. But Ukraine just shattered that confidence with a low-tech revolution, the fiber-optic link. It starts with the termite, operating like a ghost beneath the detection threshold. It saturates Russian exit routes, with anti-tank mines creating a blackout trap. As panic sets in, the Ratel is unleashed. Because it is tethered by a physical fiber optic cable, Russia's multi-million-dollar jammers are effectively deaf and blind. The Ratel delivers high-precision FPV, strikes directly into bunker slits with operational immortality. It doesn't matter how much interference the Russians pump into the air, you cannot jam a physical wire. This is a cold, calculated execution of the steel over man doctrine. But as the smoke clears over the Donbas, Russian infantry are discovering a horror far worse than any overhead drone or wheeled rover. Enter the Phantom Mk1. Standing at a towering 175 centimeters, this isn't just a machine. It's a bipedal predator designed for the sole purpose of urban erasure. While traditional tanks and UGVs are paralyzed by the jagged rubble of ruined cities, the Phantom moves with a terrifying, fluid precision that mimics the human skeleton but with the strength of reinforced steel. It doesn't just scan the battlefield, it hunts. Military analysts at West Point are reportedly reeling from leaked tactical data. The Phantom has been documented climbing shattered staircases, kicking down fortified doors, and clearing complex trench networks with a cold surgical efficiency that no human commando could ever match. Armed with a standard M16 and stabilized by a gyroscopic AI core, it fires with 99.9% accuracy even while sprinting through debris. But it doesn't fight alone. Looming in its shadow is the dev droid TAB-12.7, a relentless iron sentinel that has already rewritten the laws of endurance. In a classified engagement last month, a single dev droid held a vital crossroads for 45 consecutive days. No sleep, no rations, no fear, and most importantly, not a single heartbeat for Russian thermal optics to detect. For the conscripts in the trenches, the psychological toll is catastrophic. They aren't facing enemy soldiers anymore. They are facing an unstoppable algorithm that never misses, never tires, and never shows mercy. In the ruins of the Eastern Front, the Russian army is finding out the hard way you can kill a man, but how do you kill a machine that was never alive to begin with? Russia's entire strategy relies on massive infantry assaults and accepting high casualties. That strategy is now collapsing against machines that never tire, never fear, and can be replaced quickly. While Russia struggles to produce a handful of prototype robots under heavy sanctions, Ukraine's ecosystem of nearly 300 companies is producing diverse battle-tested systems at an incredible pace. And the technological gap is widening rapidly, and the psychological toll on Russian forces grows worse every day. This development also solves one of Ukraine's most critical challenges: manpower shortages. By replacing human soldiers in the most dangerous tasks with advanced robotics, Ukraine preserves its fighting men while dramatically increasing combat effectiveness. Defense Minister Fedorov has already signed contracts for 25,000 ground robotic systems in the first half of 2026. The goal is clear: 100% of frontline logistics and high-risk missions will eventually be handled by robots. Technical intelligence leaked from the Pokrovsk sector suggests that Ukraine is no longer just defending land. They are conducting a real-world stress test for the future of NATO. With a goal of 100% robotic logistics by late 2026, Ukraine is solving its manpower crisis through technology. As the Kremlin struggles to produce a few prototypes under heavy sanctions, Ukraine's ecosystem of 280 tech firms is churning out thousands of battle-hardened units. The verdict from international observers is absolute. Putin's human wave tactics are facing an irreversible death spiral. The Steel Army hasn't just arrived, it has already won the first round. The Steel Army is not just coming. It has already begun its cold, unrelenting march across the scorched earth of the Donbas. Russian forces on the front lines are no longer just fighting for territory, they are fighting a psychological war against an enemy that doesn't breathe, doesn't blink, and never retreats. The low mechanical hum of Ukrainian UGVs has become the new soundtrack of the Russian retreat, a sound that signals the end of the traditional meat grinder doctrine that the Kremlin has relied upon for over 2 years. This brings us to the most critical question of the 21st century. Does Russia have any realistic way to counter Ukraine's rapidly growing robotic forces, or is Putin facing a technological defeat from which there is no recovery? To answer this, we must look at the widening gap in innovation. While Moscow struggles to bypass international sanctions to procure simple microchips for its aging tanks, Ukraine has transformed into a global laboratory for autonomous warfare. Nearly 300 private tech firms in Kyiv are now operating at a Silicon Valley pace, turning frontline feedback into battlefield-ready robots in a matter of weeks, not years. Russia's response has been limited to heavy, expensive prototypes that are produced in single digits. You cannot fight a swarm of 25,000 agile fiber-optic-linked killers with a handful of propaganda pieces. The Kremlin's electronic warfare umbrellas, once feared by NATO, have been rendered obsolete by a simple, unjammable physical wire. This is not just a tactical setback for Russia, it is a strategic paralysis. The arrival of the Steel Army has triggered what analysts call a moral death spiral among Russian conscripts. Imagine the psychological states of a soldier who realizes that his life is being traded for the battery life of a robot. When Russia sends a human wave, they expect to inflict casualties. But when that wave meets a line of Phantom Mk1s and dev droids, there is no one to kill on the other side. There is only metal to be dented. For Putin, this is a catastrophic realization. Technology has effectively neutralized his greatest asset, the willingness to sacrifice Russian lives in infinite numbers. Stay tuned, because what we are witnessing today is merely the alpha phase of this revolution. The robotic storm on the battlefield is only accelerating. Every week, new systems more lethal, more autonomous, and more interconnected are being deployed. We are moving toward a reality where entire sectors of the front will be held exclusively by machines monitored by operators sitting hundreds of kilometers away in reinforced bunkers. The pressure on Russian positions is mounting to a breaking point. Ukraine is not slowing down. They are rewriting the very definition of national sovereignty through the lens of artificial intelligence. The world is watching every move, every drone strike, and every robotic trench clearing. But now I want to hear from you. We are at a crossroads in human history. Do you believe that Russia can adapt to this steel storm, perhaps through their own desperate technological surge? Or is the era of the human soldier officially dead on the Eastern Front? Is Putin facing an irreversible technological Waterloo? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. And in this fast-moving conflict, your perspective adds a vital layer to the global conversation. This is a story moving at the speed of light, and your take matters. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the future of warfare. If you want more exclusive, real-time updates on these groundbreaking developments from the secret labs in Kyiv to the brutal trenches of the front line, make sure to subscribe and turn on all notifications. Disclaimer: Dieses Video enthält Inhalte, die ganz oder teilweise durch künstliche Intelligenz erstellt oder unterstützt wurden. Das Material dient ausschließlich der Simulation, Illustration und Unterhaltung. Es stellt keine realen Ereignisse, keine politischen oder militärischen Ratschläge und keine verifizierten Informationen dar. Einzelne Elemente können fiktional dramatisiert oder ungenau sein. Zuschauer sollten dieses Video nicht als zuverlässige Informationsquelle oder Grundlage für reale Entscheidungen verwenden.